If you're a small employer, let's say, or a medium-sized one, I work with groups across that spectrum. Where can you stand out? I'm a big believer in not trying to compete and trying to go head to head with a Google if you are a small employee. It's a pointless exercise. But how can you reuse and build a culture that really uniquely draws people to you, and really the people you want to be drawn? Not just anyone, but who's really going to align with the culture you're building. So I talk to a lot of founders and those who are building companies or the CEOs about the idea of bottling culture. I think of it like a wine vintage. You want to put the stamp on it, put the cork on, and really, put it and celebrate it, really make it explicit. What happens a lot, I think, when we're in sort of younger organizations or those that are smaller or mid-size, is that we're running around so often, we don't put the time in to really distill that and make that a cause of celebration. And I think where modern work has gone, and that's why I think there's a generational challenge with this, that I think there's a two-way street, almost a marriage now in modern work, where we are there to obviously help the organization achieve its own mission, but the organization is here to also achieve ours. And it's that second point that I think leaders, especially those who grew up in my generation, really struggle with, that idea of a two-way street, a marriage. And I think if we can embrace that mindset, though, we're going to have much more productive engagements, much more productive marriages at work. Even if we stay for 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, whatever it might be in a job, those years will be far more exciting and fulfilling for everyone. What often happens, the CEO thinks about the customer. She or he might have, 5 million customers. The challenge is they are like at least 5, 6, maybe 8 steps removed from any customer at all. What they need to be focusing on is who's the person in my organization who's dealing directly with the customer each day, who's at the front line. If we can empower them and motivate them and create the right culture around them to help them be happy and successful and motivated, we're going to have very, very deep customer relationships. We're going to have client retention. We're going to have also low job turnover within the company as well. If we can switch my role from being the boss and this kind of, sage to I'm here to serve them, I need to understand their realities. I spend time with what's frustrating them, what's causing them challenges. How do I spend all of my time in my leadership team's time helping them have a better and better experience and helping them achieve that personal mission statement? It flips the power dynamic around, but all centers back on the customer, but through that key lens of our staff on the front line.